All right, welcome into another edition of the Cavalier Connection. I'm your host Jeff, joined by Jay. How you doing tonight, Jay?
I'm doing great. Excited for this episode. Been waiting for about a week to get to it, and excited to get to interview one of my own.
Yeah, this one's a Jay Ballard story. Today on the show, we're sitting down with Brayden Sheffer, a former UVA football player who walked on from the tiny little town of West Point, Virginia. Where do you live at, Jay?
West Point, Virginia.
West Point, Virginia. It's a 1A school where seriously, the football coach is also the mayor. Brayden's
That's a
story is
fact,
one
Jack.
of what's that?
I said that's a fact, Jack.
That's a fact, Jack. He's got a story of perseverance, earning his place on the team, navigating coaching changes, and being part of the program through some of its most challenging and meaningful moments. And as I've already mentioned, Jay resides in his hometown, so a little personal connection. And actually, funny story of how you were able to link up with Brayden, and you could tell it, Jay.
Yeah, this all came about pretty funny. I mean, I don't. We have these business cards that we hand out to people that have a URL code for the podcast or what are they? The QN code,
It
whatever it
takes
is.
yeah QR code.
QR code, that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't usually have them with me, but about a week and a half ago, I stuck some in my wallet again. Walked in the grocery store in my home in town here in West Point, the only one. And there's this guy wearing UVA gear head to toe. So I'm like, well, I got him in my wallet. There's never going to be a better time. This guy's clearly, involved, like a fan. Maybe we'll pick up a listener, maybe not. If not, go who's, and, I'm on my way. So I give him the card and I'm like, hey, we got this little podcast. We interview players, coaches, whatever we can. And he goes, oh, yeah, my son played football at UVA.
that's wild.
Which is just crazy. And I said, "Oh, well, was he from West Point?" And I've only been in West Point since 2016, but I didn't really know anybody, and I'm not sure exactly what year he graduated. If it was in the COVID year,
I think
or
it maybe was 19.
okay, or 19. Anyway, so I talked to the dad a little bit, and then I get home and look him up on Instagram, and sure enough, we're already following him on Instagram. So I sent him a message, and he was gracious enough to say he'd love to come on, and we're excited to have him. Just good luck, good fortune.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Before we get to Brayden, we're going to talk about our friends over at Mincer's. The wait for the fall Saturdays is long, way too long, Jay.
Yes.
We missed the walk down the lawn, the smell of the barbecue smoke drifting towards Scott Stadium, the sound of the good old song echoing under our September sky. But it's coming. And when it does, you'll want to be ready at Mincer's. They've got the gear that brings it all back, the throwback caps, the vintage tees, the crisp polos that say wahoo wah without a word. We don't just wear UVA, we remember it, we live it, and we bet you do too. So before the Who's take the field, take a trip to the corner, Stonefield Shopping Center, or Mincers.com, and get what you need for the season ahead. And that's going to kind of lead us into, we have this week's Mincers moment. It's actually about a minute video. We'll watch a basketball video and pay close attention there at the end as well.
Some great editing work here by the team at Virginia.
Don't let him shoot. He's not there. Show him he's not there.
Who was that right there at the end, Jay?
Jeff, who was the superstar there?
Oh, Gertrude right there at the end.
Yeah.
That dunk off the rebound. You see that dude still getting up. Athletic as all get out.
It looks very healthy to me. It looks very
sure.
healthy to me.
For sure. Virginia basketball is getting Mr. Moment, and especially Elijah Gertrude. It's exciting, to have a guy who was on the team last year, which is, pretty much nobody from the team last year is on the team this year. To see him dunking like that, that's exciting stuff. So excited to see what the basketball season holds.
Yep, can't wait.
All right, and now with us tonight, I want to welcome in Brayden Sheffer. A little extra special for Jay. You're from his current hometown of West Point, Virginia. For those who don't know, that's a 1A high school with maybe 65 kids in the graduating class, situated between Williamsburg and Richmond. And we were just talking off the air, the football coach is also the mayor. So welcome in, Brayden. We thank you for your time. And we're going to start right there. How in the world did you end up on UVA's radar coming from such a small town, and what was your recruitment like?
Oh, man. It was a long process, without a doubt. Jack Lawson, he's actually a pretty good, I guess, mentor of mine. Me and his son, he's 2 years older than me, but we grew up together. I was actually just on the playing the game with him yesterday. So
nice.
we're pretty close in that sense. But I guess coming out of high school, like you said, we had like 64 people in my graduating class. So it was super, super tiny. Like at one point we only had 22 people on our football team. If you're playing offense, defense, special teams, you don't get a break. But I think kind of the recruiting process for me, I was getting looked at by a lot of smaller schools, just not really getting the attention that I thought I really wanted. And I kind of took that opportunity to start reaching out to bigger schools and sending my film and just kind of reaching out and like doing my due diligence instead of having the coaches come to me. And luckily I got in contact. He's not there anymore, but his name was Coach Papinga. He was the linebacker coach at UVA at the time. And sent him my film. He really liked it, and then it kind of just went from there, and they offered me a spot. So really grateful for that opportunity. I was glad to stay close to home and ultimately go to a big D1 school to continue my football career.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of small town kids dreaming big. What advice would you give to those who want to play, college athletics? I guess at now the Power 4 level. It was Power 5 maybe when you jumped in there.
Yeah, definitely Power 4 now with how everything's shaping up with college football. But I think my biggest advice to these younger kids that are coming from small towns, small schools that may not be getting the attention that they think they deserve is just keep your head down and really go to work. You gotta really work a lot harder than some of these people that go to a bigger school, because ultimately they're going to get more attention than you will. So outperforming those people, and then like I said, just you have to do your part and reach out to these coaches, because ultimately these bigger schools aren't going to look down to 1A, 2A schools as much as like these 4A, 5A, 6A schools. So getting out there, making your film, doing everything you can, and just ultimately playing well. Like that's what's going to get you a good spot on one of these big Power 4 teams. So you just really have to go to work.
Yeah. Brayden, you talked about, playing special teams, offense, defense, with the numbers that you had. Not only that, I remember being at some of the West Point games and guys coming back from the football field to assist with the band as well for the halftime show, coming in, and they do a little bit of everything. So you got to be well-rounded in West Point. But
without a doubt.
What was the transition from playing small town high school football to stepping into an ACC program? What was that transition like?
Oh man, it was unbelievable. I'm kind of glad you brought that up. It was like jaw dropping for me, because coming from West Point to UVA, I had more people on the UVA football team than I did in my graduating class. So it's people. I don't think people really understand the level of that. But coming there, just seeing all the talent that was around me coming from 1A school. Like, we had some good players and everything, but the level when you get to D1 football, it's night and day. I think one of the biggest things for me is just the speed, the intelligence that these coaches were trying to implement on their players, kind of just knowing the game a lot more to an extent. I know in West Point, just being kind of a small town, it was really just go out there and make a play. That's what Jack would always tell me, just go out there and make a play. And I was able to do that, but getting to UVA, it's a lot bigger than that. All the people that you're playing with or playing against, they were all making plays in high school too. So having that ball knowledge and just experience is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So do you remember your welcome to college football moment? Like the time you realized, oh my gosh, this is a whole nother level.
Man,
If you had one moment that kind of stood out.
I think before I even got to UVA, they the summer preparing, because I came in during COVID. So COVID was my freshman year, and my senior year got cut off about March, and right about then we were still doing little online classes. It was kind of BS, if we're being real. It wasn't anything serious. We started getting texts from the coaches and former player, well, not former players, but seniors on the team that were leaders, kind of giving us our summer workouts that they wanted us to complete. And we would have these things under Coach Mendenhall. They're called Pride Fridays. So you would have your workouts throughout the whole week, and then Friday's the killer. So we come in Friday, and you really got to get your mind right, because it's gonna be a beating. And some of the workouts they would send us during the summer before I even got to UVA, I was doing those. I'm like, holy cow! What is going on? I've never even sweated this much in my life. I'm out on the West Point football field in the track doing these workouts, and I'm out here blazing heat, almost about to die. I'm out here literally about to faint. It was crazy. But I think probably one of the biggest welcome to moments, or welcome to college football, I guess, that when I got to UVA was probably fall camp. I don't know, Charles Snowden.
Oh yeah.
Me and him were in the same position group. So he was a senior my freshman year, and he was kind of like a mentor to me, kind of learning from him and everything. But first couple of days we started putting pads on, we would branch out into our position groups and do our individual drills. We called them indie. So we were doing those, and like I said, first day of pads, so we're out there cracking heads. And Coach Pop, he had me go against Charles for the first time. And I wasn't really expecting too much, I was like, okay, we just got pads on. Maybe we're just gonna kind of do a little light thud. Man, Charles Snowden blew me up. He blew me up. It was I got up, and Coach Pop, he was yelling at me, screaming, get your ass off the ground. I was like, oh man.
Oh, man.
I
Welcome
think he's
to
doing that
college
to offensive
football.
linemen in the
That
NFL
was
now.
a big welcome in college football. It's the speed and size was crazy. I couldn't imagine playing against somebody that big in West Point.
Oh yeah, for sure. So this next question I'm gonna ask, and I'm not sure, I might have to put a caveat on it, but what was it like the first time you ran out of the tunnel at Scott Stadium? And I'm gonna say with fans, because I don't remember if when your first season might have been that year where we didn't have fans at some of the games. So
Yep.
First time you ran out of the tunnel with fans at Scott.
That was it was a great experience. It's kind of felt surreal almost. As a kid, I always wanted to grow up, go play college football, go play in front of all these big stadium, big fans, and running out for the first time and really just looking around. It was I was starstruck. Quite frankly, it was really surreal. And I think, like I said, coming from West Point, you don't have that many people. You just have that one bleacher, and it's maybe 300, 500 people. And now running out in front of 50, 60,000, it was crazy.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I know, obviously, I've never been able to run out of that tunnel. But when Jay and I were, kids or teenagers, and we used to go to the games, and we thought it's the greatest thing to charge the field. And I mean, just to get onto the field, and we're running all around the field like a bunch of maniacs. This is as exciting as could be. So I can't imagine being in the pads and running out out of that
Yeah.
tunnel. That's got to
It's
be pretty
awesome.
sweet.
Having the flames, all the
Oh yeah.
smoke, night game, maybe some fireworks. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's awesome.
The
It's awesome.
horse and everything else.
Yeah. It's crazy too, like standing in the tunnel before you run out, like we'll have the horse kind of walking between all the players. I mean, that's a big horse now. So it's like, and we're a lot of big dudes standing around this big old horse walking right in the middle of all of us. It's pretty crazy.
Oh wow. What are some of the biggest life lessons football at UVA taught you, or things you might not have learned otherwise?
Oh man. I think I think it goes for like a lot of college athletes, but time management I think is it's a huge thing, especially for growing up and getting into like the real world, getting your own job. I feel like a lot of people I know that didn't play college football, they come into the workforce and it's like I don't know what to do, like I don't know kind of what I'm doing with my time. I think that was a big thing that kind of taught me because I mean playing college football is like a full-time job on top of doing all your classes and weightlifting, rehab, whatever you're doing. It's a lot to deal with. So definitely time management. Uh, I think that and just really the work effort. I think a lot of people don't really get. I don't want to say don't get it, but like the work effort that you have from playing college football, it really translates to everything you do. And I feel like I'll really carry that for the rest of my life. So I think that's definitely a big one.
Yeah, I know. I don't. It's unbelievable what college athletes are able to do between your practice schedule and everything you guys do. Plus, there is school that comes as well. I know people forget about the school; they just see you guys as athletes. So
Yeah. I think, especially at a big, I think they just classify as like a public Ivy at UVA. Like those classes are no joke. So
oh, I'm
Right.
sure.
Oh yeah.
it's tough. I'm sure there's some SEC boys that might get a little free pass on their school, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I was about to say that when you started with the SEC. Yeah. Oh man, they're taking football 101 or whatever. But
yeah, yeah.
so you were part of the program, grinding every day. I know you didn't see a lot of game snaps. Was that difficult, and what helped keep you motivated?
Honestly, I think just keeping me motivated was honestly like always my dream to play football. I was really blessed to even have the opportunity to go to a big power five school at the time
Yeah.
and play football. So I think that was something that really kept me going. And we had a bunch of like players that really didn't get too much play time or like maybe only special teams and really just come out there and grind. Like I said, that's kind of where the effort and the work effort really came into play with my life lesson. It's just put your head down and go to work. You don't really want to expect too much, don't want to expect too less. You just want to go out there and do your best and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know did you play 2 seasons for Coach Mendenhall?
Yeah, so I played 2 with Mendenhall and then 2 with Tony Elliott.
Okay. So with Mendenhall, let's start with him. What was he like on and off the field?
Oh man, on the field with coaching, like our meetings and stuff, he was a really kind of like a bland almost, like a kind of a dry, but it was like a aggressive dry, if that makes sense. He was come out there, it's like, hey, it's gonna be a tough one. Suck it up. You're gonna have to deal with it. He would say it straight like that, straight face, no emotion, just go out there and go to work. Um, Outside the field, he was nice. I don't want to. I personally, I was more of a fan of Tony Elliott off the field. I thought he did a lot for us as players and just kind of shaping us to be better men after the football world. But yeah, Mendenhall was he was a great coach. Obviously, he did a lot of good things for UVA.
Right.
But
Any funny stories you can share from Coach Mendenhall?
oh man, I can probably the worst week of my life I can tell you about. Um, so we're COVID year, freshman year, where we have all the athletes, freshman athletes in one dorm, try to isolate us from the rest of the school to keep the COVID out, essentially. And with this going on, like if one person got COVID, it could lead to the whole team getting COVID, and then our season kind of getting ruined.
Right.
So we're in our freshman dorms, and I guess there was a few people like in our lounge, like in the freshman dorms, we have like rooms on both sides and a big like community lounge. So we would kind of sit in the community lounge just to kind of hang out and stuff. But I guess there was one time where a couple of the other athletes from different teams kind of gathered on our floor, and supposedly people didn't have masks on. And there was a girl walking down the steps, and she looked in and saw like all these people in here didn't have masks on. So they told their coach, and then their coach was like talking to Mendenhall, like, "Hey, you have all these football players in the lounge without masks on," even though it wasn't that many. They said it was 30 of us, and we didn't even have 30 people in our freshman squad. So we got word of that. We come to practice like 2 days later after he found out, and in the team meeting, he's like, "All right, everybody go to practice, but all the freshmen stay here." So we're sitting there like, what the heck's going on? Like we have no idea like what's about to happen. And he pretty much lays down the whole story about how he heard about it, this and that. And then he's like, "So for the next 8 days, you're going to do a strike." And so what a strike is you'll get to the facility at 5 a.m. and do 365 burpee box jumps onto a box jump up to probably your chest, big old box. And we had to do that in 1 hour. So 365 burpee box jumps an hour, 8 days in a row before we even did our morning workouts, morning meetings, practices, whatever. Yeah. So honestly, the worst week of my life by far. I ended up losing 15 pounds that week. We had some guy strain his MCL. We had another guy get him a full body cramp. I mean, it was no joke. And the first day we did it, it was before like one of our first like full padded scrimmages. So the bus left us at the facility. We did our strike, and then we had to run over to the stadium and then start the practice.
Oh my God.
It was honestly really unbelievable. And that time, like, you're a freshman, so you don't have any means of transportation. You don't have a car to get to the training facility or anything like that. So we had this thing called Safe Rides at the time. It's pretty much like a on-campus Uber. But because of COVID, you can only get one person in a Safe Ride. And we would have, because it was so early, we would only have 2 Safe Rides going. So essentially, to be there at 5, you would have to wake up at 3 a.m., call your Safe Ride because you knew it was going to be 45 an hour late, go back to sleep, wake back up to go to your Safe Ride, get to the facility, do your strike, and then go on about your day. So honestly, I think that was probably the craziest story. I feel like if you ask anybody from our freshman class, they'll say the same thing. It was pretty absurd.
Y'all had to be cursing that girl, and y'all were cursing Mendenhall, no doubt, every morning.
Yeah. We it was a rough one. It made me have a little bit of a hard spot in my heart for Mendenhall.
Yeah.
But
did anybody quit?
No, nobody quit. I think that might have been their goal when we were doing that at the time, to be quite honest with you. But nobody quit. We kind of stuck it out.
That's awesome.
I think it was a big bonding moment for us. I think we have a group chat now of like my whole freshman class, and we call it the strike team. So
Awesome.
I think it's something we'll all remember for a long time, and it definitely sucked during it, but it is what it is. So
wow,
dang. That's a great story. Unfortunately, your suffering led to us having a nice story here. For sure.
Yeah, it's pretty funny looking back on it now. But yeah, that girl that told on us, I don't think we talk to her anymore. So
she's not in the group chat.
No, not without a doubt.
Yeah.
You might have a little resentment to that sport team from here on out.
Do you have a favorite memory or game from your time at UVA?
Favorite memory or game? I would say like favorite memory wise, probably just being around with all the guys. Like I've made best friends that are gonna last a lifetime. People that are gonna stand beside me in my wedding and all that nature. So I think that's probably my best memory. Favorite game? I think probably my favorite game is probably the first home game. Like that was a really surreal moment, like I was saying earlier, just running out and really getting out there into that environment. But I think probably one of the bigger ones was beating top 10 UNC. That was a great game. Just big rival, old rival, been a rival forever. So getting to kind of see that and get to go away with the win, it was a really good moment. Yeah. And we're playing against big people now. We had Drake May, Amarion Hampton, like a lot of big names in the NFL now. So yeah, it was a great team win.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So after Coach Mendenhall, then Coach Elliott took over. How tough was the transition for the team?
Um, I think it was pretty tough for a lot of people, honestly. Like the way Mendenhall kind of just left, it was we weren't really expecting it. We had a emergency meeting in the middle of like bowl prep, and he was essentially like, "Hey, like I'm done. Like I want to spend more time with my family, his wife, and everything." And we just like, kind of weren't expecting it at all. It was really just random to us. And then a couple years later, he goes back to coaching. So
Right.
I don't know what you want to make of that, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of people kind of were scared about it. A lot of this was kind of when the transfer portal was heating up, so a lot of people hit the portal, weren't really sure if they would like the new coaching staff or what exactly was going on. But I think for me personally, I think the transition was good, and I think Elliot really came in and solidified himself as a leader for us. And I think he had a vision that he really tried to implement on all of us, and he stuck to that. Even the first 2 years, kind of ups and downs, the vision always stayed the same, and I think he's gonna see the benefits of that here soon.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, what was your first impressions like when I'm sure he held a team meeting early? First impressions of Coach Elliott, and how did your relationship with him kind of evolve over the time you were with him?
Yeah, I think before really, it was like I said, we were in bowl prep when we found this out, and he was like, "We're gonna finish preparing for this bowl, and then you're gonna get a new coach." But Coach Elliott, he was around the practices, so he would kind of sit there, watch kind of how we function, how he might have want to change things or do things the same. So I think that transition was pretty good. Like he was definitely around. He was accessible. Like he gave us our numbers or his phone number to all of us. Like we had any questions, people who wanted to enter the portal, like he was helpful for them. Like he just kind of wanted to see the best for everybody.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of strange to me as being an outsider. You're because you hear, all right, well, Coach Elliott's going to coach the bowl, or Coach Mendenhall is going to coach the bowl, and then Coach Elliott's there, and it's like you don't normally see the overlap of like the old guard and the new guard. It's normally like with Coach O'Connor in baseball, he's gone to Mississippi State. Coach Pollard comes in, and this was like a true overlap where Coach Elliott was able to observe those bowl practices, which was pretty strange. But any like with same kind of question, any lighthearted, kind of funny Coach Elliott moments that stand out?
Um, Lighthearted. I think Coach Elliott, he was a lot more of a team guy. Like he was like a player's coach in a sense. He was really adamant about getting our team the bond with the coaches and all that good stuff. So I think that was one of the good things. But we had actually during fall camp, which is pretty much the toughest time for like a college football player, like fall camp. It's nonstop, middle of summer. You're there alone. It's just you, the football team, and nobody else. So that's all you really have to worry about. But we would do these little like kind of karaoke days. So we were under the impression that everybody was preparing to go do a full padded like scrimmage at the stadium, and then we go there. We'll start warming up. He blow the whistle, and everybody just he's like, "All right, karaoke time." So everybody's like, "Oh, what the heck's going on?" So I mean, it's like little surprises like that that were kind of really nice, honestly. Like you're preparing for the worst, and then you get lucky, and then we have a little karaoke day. So, but one time we were doing that, and Coach Elliott and a couple of the other coaches, they all got up there and were singing a song, embarrassing themselves, like making themselves vulnerable in front of the whole team. So I think that was probably one of my favorite memories of him in
That's
terms of just
awesome.
being like a fun guy.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
and we have very little interaction with him, but the little bit we have, and what we see, he just seems like a great person, human being, and does seem like he has the best interests of the players, and not just football related. That's what everything you're saying is everything everybody else says as well. So,
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you were on the team during one of the hardest moments in UVA's history, the tragic shooting that took the lives of Lavelle Davis Jr., Devin Chandler, and Deshaun Perry. What do you remember about that night and the days that followed? And what did those three guys mean to you personally?
Um, yeah, it was a really really bad time for all of us, the football team, coaches, the families, just the whole UVA community. I think that night, like it happened kind of late, but I was preparing to wake up and go to practice because we had to be up at 5 in the morning. So I was in bed by 8:30, trying to get my 8 hours of sleep in, and so I'm asleep while essentially all the bad stuff was happening. And I wake up in the morning. Usually when I wake up for practice, I don't really check my phone. I just kind of get up, get dressed, brush my teeth, and get out the door. But one of my roommates, his name was Nate Morris. He's another football guy. He kind of stayed up a little bit later than the rest of us, and I guess he was up while all this was happening. And I'm walking out to go to my car and drive to practice, and our living room couch is like positioned in front of the door. So I'm sitting there like, what the hell is this? Like, what's going on? So I'm like looking around, and then my other roommate, his name is Jack Hardy, he kind of comes up behind me. He has the same thought. And this is when we kind of checked our phone, and I had tons of messages, like missed calls, like texts from people I don't even really know that may have just like had my Instagram or Snapchat, like asking if I'm okay and all that. And I'm just like, what is going on? And then we kind of got the news later on, and kind of went from there. We had a big team meeting and kind of got the news dropped on us. It was really tough, um, really vulnerable moment for a lot of us guys, and I think it's something that's going to definitely sit with us for the rest of our lives. May their families find peace. That's the biggest thing for me. I hope. I'm sure they'll never get over something like as tragic as that. But I guess I'll leave it at that. But me personally, I was Deshaun Perry. He was my locker mate in the locker room. So me and him, we were really tight. And Lavelle, he came in as a freshman with me, so we had that connection. We were always around together. And Devin, he transferred in, I think, my sophomore year. So yeah, it was like end of the freshman or like sophomore year. So wasn't really as close with him, but obviously, like we're all brothers on the team. So even if we didn't talk that much, he's still my guy. I'm gonna have him for the rest of my life with me as well. But I moved down to Charleston. That's where I'm at now, from Virginia. I was born and raised in Virginia, and it's actually where Lavelle grew up. So I still go visit his hometown, and that was the first time I really came to Charleston, was when we had his funeral down here in Ridgeville. So I know where he's at. So I still take my visits and everything. We kept in touch with the families for a long time. I still have their phone numbers, like wish them happy holidays, tell them I'm thinking about them. So those boys really meant a lot to all of us, not just me. And I think that's just 115 and 41 is something that I'll always carry on the back of my shirt. So
Yeah, and I think Coach Elliott really handled that situation so well. I mean, I don't think we could have had a better person to lead the program kind of through that period. But
I think it's any coach or person put in that situation will have a really rough time, and I think Elliot really did a good job of handling it and using what we thought was the best for the team and the families and everything as well. So he took all that into account, and it wasn't really just a solo decision on anything on him. It was a group effort, and I think that's probably the best thing you can really do in a situation like that.
yeah, for sure. So changing gears a little bit, hopefully some better stuff to come here, or happier stuff. I'm gonna say a name, and you just give me quick rapid fire. It could be a story, just a thought. Quick memory, and we'll go from here. So, Brennan Armstrong.
Oof. UVA legend. Honestly, he did his thing while he was here. I was kind of sad to see him go. I wasn't really expecting it, but he left his mark at UVA without a doubt, and you can't really blame him for that. So
Yeah. I think if that offensive line wouldn't have transferred out the way it did with all of them going, and Coach Elliott having to bring in a totally new, like, I think you guys were a top 10 team if everything had just stayed status quo that next year, which ended up being Elliott's first year, because all the pieces were in place and just so many guys transferred out. But
yeah, I mean, getting into the new scheme might have been a little more difficult for him. He was a little bit older, so, and on the opposite side of the ball, so I never really got to talk to him too much. And in terms of football, like I would see him in the locker room, see him outside of football, and we would talk here and there. But I think just having a new scheme like that, I think he was really catered for a nice scheme that he had.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, the O line transferring out doesn't help anybody. So
right. Nick Jackson.
Ooh, Nick Jackson, a leader. Yeah. He's a leader for sure. So he was the I would say, yeah, captain, like middle linebacker, captain of a defense for a long time. Even before I was there, he was playing as a freshman in the Orange Bowl. Yeah. So I think he was the leading tackler for UVA, or maybe even all of NCAA too, even after he transferred to Iowa.
Yep.
But Nick Jackson, he was a great mentor. He's really knowledgeable about the game. He really put his head down and went to work. And even during practices, he was first one in, last one out. He was coming to work. So
that's awesome. Jelani Woods.
Oh man, giant. He was so he came in. Obviously, he got drafted, went to the Colts, all that good stuff. But practicing against him, that was a good experience. Playing like edge rusher, outside linebacker, we would kind of go against the tight ends a lot. So I had my fair share against him, and try to guard him on some of them pass routes were a little rough. He got a couple inches on me. So
how about Dontavion Wicks?
Dontavion Wicks, route runner. He was a master route runner, and I think I didn't really take it much for granted while he was there. Maybe I was just so used to him doing his thing, being good out there. But seeing him now for the Packers and doing his business, he's really progressed, and it's good to see him succeed out there.
Yeah, for sure. What about Malachi Fields?
Malachi Fields, that's a good one. Trying to think of a good word. Humble, very humble. Malachi Fields, he's a very humble guy. I mean, obviously his play speaks for itself. Oh, yeah. He's out there balling, mossing people, fast, tall. I think he was a pretty underrated receiver that we had. And I think he's going to go on to do some great things. And being a hometown guy, like he was really putting on for UVA. So yeah, I think he carried that on his shoulder as well.
Yeah, it's another special one. Mike Hollins,
resilient. Mike Hollins, I mean, obviously the things he's went through, it's crazy to see that he was able to really come back and show out. Honestly, he genuinely play good football after all he's been through. I know he was like best friends with Deshaun Perry, so I know that was hard for him, and I think he was really prideful in getting back on the field and playing for his brothers. So yeah, without a doubt, resilient, hard worker.
All right, Joey Blunt.
I would say probably technician. He's really good in the back. I think he was a little undersized, but he doesn't play undersized at all. He's playing at safety. I mean, he was a big safety. Like he could really go downfield and lay the wood on somebody. But he's doing his thing for the Cardinals, and I'm glad to see him doing well.
Yeah.
What about Antonio Clary?
Antonio Clary, Gramps. Call him Gramps. He's been in the game a long time, and he carries a lot of knowledge with him. I think he's still playing. I think he has one more year this year. So
Yep.
he was there, but he was there before me. There 2 years after me. He's been in the game a long time, but that comes with a lot of knowledge, and like he's resilient too. He's gone through some injuries, and he keeps coming back. He just wants to keep playing and show out for UVA. So
Last one. We wish he had some eligibility left, but Jonas Sanker.
Jonas Sanker, that's my guy. What's a good word for him? I would say aggressive. He's off the field. Me and him, we play the game a lot. Me and him would play 2K. I think he might be the greatest 2K player on the UVA football team, which
man.
is pretty underrated for what he's doing on the football field as well. But he's a great player. He really likes to get his head dirty, get in the hole. He come down the hill really quick, and he'll lay the wood on somebody. So I think he's gonna be a great addition for the Saints.
Yeah, we're hoping his brother can carry on the Sanker name and do some big things.
I think he will. His little brother has some good mentors with both of his older brothers. His Jonas and I can't remember his other brother's name, but he played at Purdue. Not Purdue, Princeton.
Okay.
So
yeah.
they got a really athletic family, and I think his genes are gonna take a hold of him, and he's gonna do some good things for UVA.
Awesome.
All right. So, do you still follow the team? And what are your thoughts on the 2025 squad?
So yeah, I follow the team. I would say a good bit. I think it's a little more difficult now, especially with the transfer portal. Look at the roster every couple of days, and it's like, holy cow, I don't know any of these guys.
Yeah.
But we still have a good amount of people that I've played with that are maybe a little bit younger than me. Jameer Carter, he's still on the team.
Yeah.
I came in with Big Jaw. We call him the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
He's been doing his thing for a long time, and I think he's a great addition. But I think Elliot is doing a good job in the portal. You know, getting obviously a lot of extra NIL funding from the anonymous donor. Like that's huge help in today's game. So honestly, it's hard to get good recruits without paying people with this NIL era, which is kind of sad to see, but that's just the way the game is right now. But I think, like I said, Elliot stays true to his values and to his goals, and he's not going to change from that. And I think he will see the outcome here. Hopefully this season. I'm really hoping it's this season, but it's coming.
Yeah, we think so too. Anybody you want to shout out as far as coaches, teachers, family, people who helped you get where you are?
Definitely shout out the Mendenhall staff. You know, giving me the chance to come and play football. I was grateful. It was an exciting time. Obviously, shout out Coach Elliott, taking over, turning me into a better man, kind of preparing me for life after football. Obviously, shout out my family. Big shout out to West Point. You know, put little West Point on the map. Not a lot of people know about it, but
that's right.
You can do your thing and come out of there successful. So,
hey, if you come to the crab carnival, we got to hook up. I'll buy you a crab cake.
That sounds good. That's probably the best thing we got going in West Point.
For sure.
The last one, Brayden. Any final message you'd like to send to Wahoo Nation?
Wahoo Nation, tune in this year. Come support to the games. Get ready. It's coming. So that's all I got to say.
Yep, we're with you on that. Well, Brayden, we really want to thank you for your time, and we really enjoyed talking to you. And
I appreciate
wish you lots of luck in all of your future endeavors. And hopefully, you know, maybe you'll get that crab cake from Jay.
I'm gonna be waiting on it.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all for having me. Go Hoos.
Hey, go Hoos. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Once again, thanks to Brayden Sheffer for joining us. Was a treat to talk to. Hopefully a lot of folks out there will listen to this one. Just entertaining to get the behind the scenes, especially you got to hear the Mendenhall years and some Elliot years, and then like the real life. What sucks is, but you know, when the killing, unfortunately the shooting happened at UVA, you know, somebody was right there on the scene when all this stuff, you know, was going down. But no, entertaining. The strike was funny with Mendenhall, but definitely a great interview.
Yeah, I think too, a lot of guys, and there's a lot of athletes follow us on X and, some of the other platforms. But if you're from a small school, look at a kid like Brayden who, not highly recruited. He had to go out and really push himself, but it only takes getting in front of one of the right coaches, and, everybody's not a 4 or 5-star kid. And so what an inspiration. I mean, small town, like I said, it is not unusual to see a kid come out with take the shoulder pads off and, you're playing in the band at halftime, whatever.
That is a crazy story. I didn't know that.
I mean, it's definitely happened. And, it's just an inspiration to that, you can go big places from a small town.
No, that's accurate for sure. Percy Ellsworth came from the small town, a little bit bigger than West Point. Franklin High School had a Virginia UVA player as well, who was listed at quarterback, and the person, Clay Council.
Oh, I thought he was a kicker.
No, he was on the roster as a quarterback.
He was on the Peach Bowl team on that 95 team.
Yes, mm-hmm. The team that beat Florida State.
Yes. Yep, he was there. You're right.
From little sleepy old Franklin, Virginia.
Yeah, and that's the city of Franklin, not Franklin County.
That's correct. You look up Fred's restaurant, and they got the shirt. Where the hell is Franklin, Virginia at?
Yeah, West Point has something similar. It's 3 rivers, 2 bridges, one hell of a place to live.
Yeah.
So we got something similar.
Yeah. So, but nope, great interview. We thank everyone for joining us, and looking forward to we have some more interviews upcoming. Hopefully, a couple newcomers that have committed to Virginia will be joining us next week, hopefully. So if all goes well, we'll have those out for you guys. So we get to hear from the young and the new and the veterans who've already done their time. So it's always fun to get those perspectives.
Yeah, and check out CavalierConnection.com if you're not aware. The CavalierConnection.com had a couple articles. One article went up today on possibility of Rick Carlisle becoming the GM. Jeff? Question mark.
Yeah, Jay Ballard. I don't know. Are you an insider, Jay?
I don't know. Go read the article and find out. And then we have a new to the team, former UVA pitcher Steve Brindle. Helping us out, writing some articles for us. His first article is going to be posted to the website today as you listen, I'm guessing. So definitely go give that a read. And, he's a baseball guy. He talks about Coach Pollard's press conference. He was there, got to meet Coach Pollard. So really excited to have him join the team.
And before we check out, I know Jay's article on Rick Carlisle today, but even though he's writing about wrestling in the beginning, folks, don't tune him out because, don't discredit him because he wrote about a little wrestling,
I didn't write about wrestling. I just quoted a legendary figure. You got to go read the article to see who it was.
Yeah. There's some reporting out there that they may not be able to read articles. There's some wrestling in the beginning. Don't listen to the reports. That's fake news. It's a good well-written article, Jay. And go read it and let us know what you think. Everyone have a great evening. Go Hoos.
Go Hoos.